You cannot be serious about this fake marriage deal.
This is strictly a business contract and nothing more.
Where did you get that?
To be my wife for 180 days.
Where
the
did you get
billionaire
that
said,
pendant?
his voice as cold as the marble floor beneath her feet. And in return? Amara asked, fighting to keep her tears from falling. In return, your brother gets the surgery he needs, and your family never sees hunger again. Amara looked at the file on the table. One signature, one lie, one house full of secrets. But what she did not know was that the man's mother had been hiding a truth for years, and that truth was about to change everything. The rain had been falling since dawn in Enugu. Inside a tiny room with peeling paint and a leaking roof, Amara sat beside her younger brother, Obasi, pressing a damp cloth against his forehead. He was only 15, but sickness had made him look much younger. Their mother, Mama Adeze, stood by the window, holding a paper in trembling hands. "Amara," she said softly, "the hospital called again." Amara already knew what that meant. How much this time? Mama Adeze swallowed hard. They said if we do not complete the deposit before Friday, they will give the surgery slot to another patient. Obasi turned his face away. "Let them give it to someone else." "Don't speak like that," Amara snapped, then immediately softened. "You will have this surgery." "With what money?" he asked bitterly. "Your food stall barely pays rent. Mama has already sold her wrappers. We have nothing left." Amara looked down at her hands. Hands that had cooked, washed, carried, mended, prayed. Hands that had done everything except create a miracle. "I will find a way," she said. Mama Adeze sighed. "My daughter, you have been saying that for months." Amara stood up. "And I mean it every time." But even she could hear how tired her own voice sounded. That afternoon, while she was packing the last unsold meat pies from her stall, her childhood friend, Ifunanya, rushed toward her. "Amara," she called, "I have been looking for you everywhere." Amara forced a smile. "If this is about me owing you for transport, I have not forgotten." "If only it was transport," Ifunanya lowered her voice. "There is a woman in Abuja, very powerful. She is looking for somebody." "For what?" "For something strange." Amara frowned. "Ifunanya, I am serious. They need a decent woman to enter a temporary marriage arrangement." Amara stared at her. "You want me to become a prostitute in grammar?" "No," Ifunanya said quickly. "Listen first. It is not that kind of thing. It is a contract marriage. Public only. No nonsense. Just appearances, events, respectability." "And who exactly does this nonsense help?" "A billionaire named Chinedu Okafor." Amara laughed once. A dry, unbelieving laugh. "I am struggling to pay hospital bills, and you are here telling me fairy tales about billionaires?" "They are offering 20 million naira," Ifunanya whispered. Amara froze. The market noise around her faded. 20 million. That was not just hospital money. That was surgery, medicine, rent, food, school fees, maybe even a new beginning. "And what would I have to do?" she asked. "Be his wife in public for 6 months, live in his family home, attend events, smile for cameras, then leave." Amara's chest tightened. "There is no such thing as easy money." "I know," said Ifunanya. "But maybe this is the kind of trouble that can save your family." Amara did not answer. She looked at the dark sky above the market, then at the food she had not sold, then at the message from the hospital blinking on her old phone. By evening, she had made up her mind. "Send me the address," she said. The Okafor residence in Abuja did not look like a home. It looked like a kingdom built to remind visitors that they were small. Tall gates, uniformed guards, black cars. Silence. Amara adjusted her simple navy dress and clutched her bag tighter. A man in a suit led her through a wide hallway lined with family portraits and expensive art. At the end of the corridor, large double doors opened. "Mr. Okafor will see you now." Inside, Chinedu Okafor stood by the window. He was tall, sharp-featured, and dressed in a dark suit that made him seem even more distant. He did not smile. He did not offer his hand. He simply turned and looked at her like he was assessing risk. "You are Amara Eze." "Yes." "You were a university debate champion." She blinked. "That was years ago." "You worked as a teacher for 1 year before resigning." "My brother became ill." "You have no criminal record, no online scandal, no public relationships, no debt except hospital debt." He paused. "You are exactly the kind of person my team was hoping to find." Amara felt exposed. "You investigated me." "I don't invite strangers into my life blindly." She lifted her chin. "Then tell me why I am here." For the first time, he looked directly into her eyes. "My company is closing a merger with international partners. They value stability."
Family image, reputation. He walked toward the table and placed a file in front of her. "My late father's trust also requires that I be married before I can take full control of a foundation project tied to rural hospitals." Amara almost laughed. "So you need a wife for business." "I need a temporary wife for appearance," he corrected. "And why not marry someone you actually love?" A shadow passed over his face. "I am not discussing my personal life." "Convenient." He ignored that. "The arrangement lasts 180 days. You will live here, attend all required events, conduct yourself with dignity. You will not discuss this contract with anyone." "And my family?" "Your brother's surgery will be paid in full. Your mother will receive a monthly stipend. At the end of the contract, you receive the balance." Amara's throat tightened. "What are the rules?" He handed her a paper. "No physical relationship unless mutually agreed. No interviews. No public improvisation. No contacting the press. No entering my private office. No emotional expectations." She looked up slowly. "No emotional expectations?" "I prefer clarity." "No," she said. "You prefer control." Something flickered in his expression, but it vanished quickly. "You can leave if this offends you." She thought of Obasi. She thought of Mama Adeze counting coins in the dark. She picked up the pen. "When does it start?" "Now," he said. And she signed. That evening, Amara was shown to a beautiful guest suite bigger than the house she had grown up in. An older housekeeper named Auntie Bisi helped her settle in. "You are the new madam everyone is whispering about," Auntie Bisi said with a kind smile. "I am nobody's madam," Amara replied. Auntie Bisi chuckled. "In this house, names change faster than weather." Before Amara could answer, the door opened. A graceful older woman entered, dressed in cream silk and quiet authority. "Good evening," she said. Amara stood immediately. "Good evening, Ma. I am Nkem Okafor, Chinedu's mother." Amara bowed her head respectfully. "It is an honor to meet you." Mrs. Okafor's eyes moved over her carefully, not with cruelty, but with a depth that made Amara uneasy. Then her gaze stopped. On Amara's neck was a small silver pendant. Mrs. Okafor's expression changed for a fraction of a second. "Where did you get that pendant?" she asked. Amara touched it. "It belonged to my late father. My mother gave it to me." Mrs. Okafor stepped closer. "Your mother's name?" "Adeze Eze." Silence. Then, just as quickly, Mrs. Okafor looked away. "You must be tired," she said coolly. "Rest well. Tomorrow we'll be busy."
She turned and left. Amara stared after her. That was not the reaction of a woman seeing jewelry. That was the reaction of a woman seeing a ghost. The next morning, breakfast was tense. Chinedu read financial reports. Mrs. Okafor drank tea in silence. Amara sat carefully, determined not to break any invisible rule. Then heels clicked across the dining hall. A stunning woman in red entered as if she belonged there. She kissed the air beside Mrs. Okafor's cheek, then looked at Amara. "So," she said with a smile too sharp to be kind, "this is the replacement." Amara kept her voice steady. "Good morning." The woman laughed softly. "She even has manners." Chinedu did not look pleased. "Sandra, no one invited you to breakfast." Sandra sat anyway. "I didn't need an invitation before." Her eyes returned to Amara. "You must be confused, dear, so let me help. I am Sandra Bello. My father owns 30% of Okafor Holdings. Everyone expected I would become Chinedu's wife." "But you are not," Amara said. Sandra's smile thinned. Mrs. Okafor set down her cup. "Sandra." "Yes, Ma?" "Eat if you are hungry, leave if you are not." Sandra looked away, but the warning was clear. Still, before breakfast ended, she leaned toward Amara and whispered, "Some girls mistake borrowed shoes for their own size. Don't get comfortable." Amara said nothing, but inside, she understood. The contract was the easy part. Surviving the house would be the real test. In the days that followed, Amara was transformed. Stylists came, designers came, etiquette consultants came. She learned which fork to touch, which cameras to face, how to walk beside a billionaire without appearing impressed by him. At first, Chinedu treated her like staff. Stand straight. Pause before answering reporters. Never over-explain. Do not tell my aunt your life story. One evening, after a particularly exhausting charity rehearsal, Amara dropped her heels on the floor and muttered, "You are the most emotionally constipated man I have ever met." Chinedu, who had entered quietly, raised an eyebrow. "Emotionally constipated?" She gasped. "I didn't know you were there." Clearly. He should have been offended. Instead, to her shock, the corner of his mouth moved. Not quite a smile, but close. That was the first crack. The second came when he asked about Obasi. "The doctors say the surgery is scheduled next week," Amara said one night. "And your mother?" "She pretends to be strong. It is a full-time job for African mothers." He nodded as if he understood that personally. "And you?" he asked. She looked at him. "What about me?" "Who takes care of you?" Amara laughed softly. "That is not part of the contract." "No," he said, "it isn't." For a moment, the room felt smaller. Then his phone rang, and the distance returned. Later that same week, Mrs. Okafor called Amara into her private sitting room. On the table were old photographs, a Bible, and a cup of untouched tea. "Sit," she said. Amara obeyed. Mrs. Okafor looked at the pendant again. "Your mother," she said slowly. "Did she ever work in a hospital in Jos?" Amara's brows drew together. "Yes,
Before my father died, we lived there. Mrs. Okafor closed her eyes. When I was younger, she said quietly, I was involved in a terrible road accident outside Jos. There was blood everywhere. Fear everywhere. Many people watched. One woman did not. She climbed into that wreck and stayed with me until help came. Amara listened in silence. She wore that pendant, Mrs. Okafor whispered. I never forgot it. Amara's heart pounded. My mother? Mrs. Okafor opened her eyes, but did not answer directly. Your mother was brave. Rarely do we understand the full value of a person while they are still around. Ma, do you know her? But Mrs. Okafor straightened. Some truths are not told all at once, she said. Not in this family. Amara left that room more confused than before. But now she knew one thing for certain. Her presence in that house was not an accident. Weeks passed. The engagement photos made headlines. The business merger calmed. Obasi's surgery was successful. And slowly, dangerously, Amara and Chinedu began to feel less like actors. She made him laugh. He made sure fresh fruit was sent to her mother every week. She argued with him about treating people like tools. He listened more than he admitted. One morning, Amara found him in the garden at sunrise. I didn't know billionaires wake up before their employees, she teased. I didn't know fake wives insult before breakfast. She smiled. Then he surprised her. You brought life back into this house. She looked at him carefully. And that bothers you? It terrifies me, he said. Before she could answer, Sandra watched from the upstairs balcony, rage burning in her chest. This village girl was becoming more than a contract, and Sandra was not about to lose. The annual Okafor Foundation Gala was the most important night of the season. Politicians, donors, cameras, board members, rivals. Sandra arrived in gold, smiling like a woman with a plan. Before the event began, she cornered her cousin, Femi, a junior staff member desperate for money. You will do exactly what I said? Sandra asked. Femi hesitated. If anyone finds out, no one will. Put the flash drive in Amara's purse before dinner. After that, I'll handle the rest. What is on it? Confidential merger documents, Sandra said coldly. Once they find it with her, it will look like she was selling family secrets. Femi swallowed. This is too much. Sandra leaned closer. And hunger is also too much. Choose. By the time the guests were seated, the trap had been set. Mrs. Okafor stood to give a speech. The room quieted. Amara sat beside Chinedu, composed and elegant. Then Chinedu's chief legal officer rushed in and whispered something in his ear. His face hardened instantly. What is it? Mrs. Okafor asked. Chinedu stood. Security, lock the doors. The ballroom erupted in murmurs. He looked at Amara. There has been a breach. Her stomach dropped. A flash drive containing confidential merger files had just been traced to her bag. That is impossible, she said. Search it, Sandra said loudly. Let us end the suspense. Amara stood up. I have done nothing. But the bag was opened. The drive was there. The room gasped. Sandra covered her mouth with fake shock. How disappointing. Amara looked at Chinedu. You cannot believe this. His silence hurt more than any accusation. I didn't put that there, she said. Enough, he replied. The word landed like a slap. Chinedu, she whispered, Look at me. But he was already in businessman mode, cold, controlled, humiliated. Take her upstairs, he ordered security. She leaves tonight. Mrs. Okafor rose sharply. Chinedu! This is not the place, he said. Amara's eyes filled with tears she refused to shed publicly. So that is it? She asked. All these weeks and one piece of planted evidence is enough? He didn't answer. That was answer enough. She lifted her chin. I came here because my family needed saving, she said quietly. I did not come here to be disgraced. Then she walked out with the little dignity she had left, and Sandra smiled behind her glass of wine. Back in Enugu, Amara returned to the same leaking roof, the same tired walls, the same silence of people pretending not to stare. Mama Adeze held her as she cried for the first time. I trusted him, Amara whispered. Mama stroked her hair. Sometimes pain does not come from enemies. It comes from the people we hoped would know better. At Okafor House, Mrs. Okafor was furious.
You sent her away without hearing her? The evidence was in her bag, Chinedu said, and your brain was in your head. Did you use it? He turned away. Mrs. Okafor rarely raised her voice. That day, she did. You have your father's discipline, yes, but today you also had his worst weakness, pride. Chinedu said nothing. He told himself he had protected the company, but at night he could still hear Amara's voice. Look at me. And he had not. The truth came 3 days later. Auntie Bisi, while cleaning the hallway, discovered that one of the decorative cameras near the service corridor had been active that night. The footage showed Femi slipping something into Amara's purse. Mrs. Okafor watched it once, then called Chinedu immediately. By the time he arrived, she had the screen paused. Sandra's cousin, Sandra's timing, Sandra's lie. Chinedu's face went pale. She was innocent, he said. Mrs. Okafor looked at him with a pain deeper than anger. Yes, she was. Then, for the first time, she told him the full truth. Years ago, before you became this hard man in expensive suits, I was saved by a nurse during an accident in Jos. That nurse was Adeze Eze. She pointed to Amara's pendant in an old photograph she had found. That girl is her daughter. Chinedu stared in shock. I searched for that family for years, Mrs. Okafor continued. When I heard of a woman named Amara Eze through the agency, I investigated quietly. I brought her here because I wanted to help her, and because I wanted this house to know the difference between gold and glitter. He looked at her. You arranged this? I opened the door. You were the one who chose whether to see her. He sank into a chair. Mrs. Okafor's voice softened. Chinedu, wealth can buy loyalty, silence, comfort, even beauty. But it cannot buy the kind of soul that girl brought into this house. He covered his face with his hands. I wronged her. Yes, his mother said. And now you must decide whether your apology will be as cheap as your suspicion. Sandra was called to the family study that evening. She arrived confident. She left shattered. Chinedu stood behind the desk, the footage already playing on the screen. Her smile disappeared. Would you like to explain, he asked, why your cousin planted stolen corporate files in my fiancé's bag? Sandra tried denial first, then tears, then anger. You were falling for her, she screamed. After everything I have done for this family. My family, Chinedu said coldly. You loved access, not us. Mrs. Okafor spoke next.
I welcomed you for years, Sandra.
But you kept mistaking opportunity for affection. Sandra's voice broke. She was nothing before she came here. Mrs. Okafor looked at her steadily. And yet she still had more character than you. Sandra was removed from the board charity committee that same night. Her father withdrew in shame. Femi confessed fully, but none of it fixed the damage already done. The next morning, Chinedu drove to Enugu himself. No driver, no convoy, no assistance. Just a man carrying regret like extra weight in his chest. When Mama Adeze opened the door, she knew exactly who he was. "You have courage," she said, not moving aside. "I came to speak with Amara. She owes you nothing." "I know." Amara appeared behind her mother. The moment their eyes met, silence filled the room. "I am sorry," he said. She did not answer. "I know those words are small. I know they are late. But I came because truth arrived too late, and I refuse to let pride arrive earlier again." She folded her arms. "You believed what was easiest." "No," he said. "I believed what protected my ego." That answer surprised her. Mama Adeze quietly stepped away, giving them space. Chinedu continued. "My mother told me the truth about yours, about what she did years ago, about why she recognized your pendant." Amara frowned. "So I was brought into that house because your mother pitied me?" "No," he said. "You were brought there because she respected where you came from. I fell for you because of who you are." Her eyes glistened, but her voice stayed firm. "You sent me away in front of people who were waiting for me to fall. And I will regret that for the rest of my life if you never forgive me." She looked away. "Do you know what hurt the most?" she asked softly. "Not Sandra, not the accusation, not even leaving. It was that for one foolish second, I thought maybe I had finally found a place where I did not have to keep proving my worth." He stepped closer, but not too close. "You should never have had to prove it at all." Forgiveness did not come that day. It came in pieces. Chinedu paid Obasi's post-surgery bills without restarting the contract. He helped Mama Adeze repair the leaking roof, but only after asking permission. He visited without cameras, without suits sometimes, without performance. One afternoon, Obasi said what everyone else was thinking. "Oga, are you trying to marry my sister for real this time?" Amara nearly choked on her drink. Chinedu, to her surprise, smiled. "If she ever agrees to anything involving me again, it will not be a contract." Obasi nodded solemnly. "Good, because contracts are for land, not for hearts." Even Mama Adeze laughed at that. As the weeks passed, Amara saw the version of Chinedu the world never did. A man who read medical journals at night because he wanted to understand Obasi's condition. A man who remembered exactly how her mother liked her tea. A man learning, painfully but sincerely, how to become human in public and private. One evening, under a mango tree outside the house, he handed Amara a small box. She stiffened. "If that is a ring, I will throw it at your forehead." He laughed, a real laugh. "It's not a ring." Inside was her old market ledger, the one she had lost months ago. "I found it among the things your stall landlord packed away," he said. "You wrote recipes in the back." She stared at him. "You went back for this?" "You told me once that dreams are easier to abandon when no one else takes them seriously. I wanted you to know I was listening."
Her eyes filled again, but this time with something softer. You are making it very difficult to stay angry. I hope so, he said. Months later, the 180 days ended. There was no press release, no staged farewell, no dramatic countdown. Just Chinedu standing in front of Amara with no contract file in his hand. I have something to ask, he said. She sighed. If you start with, pretend to be my wife, I won't. He shook his head. I have already failed once by offering you performance instead of truth. He took a breath. Amara Ease, will you allow me to court you properly? No conditions, no deals, no timelines, just honesty. She looked at him for a long moment, then at his mother, who was watching from the veranda with a smile she was trying and failing to hide. Then at her own mother, who folded her arms as if saying, choose carefully, but choose freely. Finally, Amara said, slowly. Slowly is good. And one more thing, she added. Anything. If you ever humiliate me in public again, your billionaire status will not save you. Mrs. Okafor burst into laughter. Now that, she said, is the daughter of a daisy. Amara turned. You knew my mother well, didn't you? Mrs. Okafor's eyes grew wet. She saved my life, she said. And perhaps, through you, she saved my son's life too. Amara reached for her mother's hand. For the first time, the weight of the past did not feel like a burden. It felt like a bridge. Some people enter your life wearing silk and promises. Others enter with dust on their feet and grace in their hands. Sandra had beauty, connections, and ambition. But Amara had something money could not manufacture. Character. And in the end, it was not the contract that changed her story. It was the secret a mother had carried for years. A secret of courage, a secret of gratitude, a secret that reminded everyone in that house that kindness never truly dies. It waits, and one day, when the time is right, it returns. Stronger, louder, and impossible to ignore.